So this video might go over 10 minutes, just a little bit, but I'm going to be drawing a character with more detail. To be honest with you, you should always use reference. You can do art without reference, but why make it harder for yourself? Why make it more complicated? And this right here, I'm going to show how you can do a very large amount of detail with both shortcuts and just by doing things in patterns in general. So I lighten that up. Normally when you're drawing on paper, you should draw with light lines and then erase those light lines and go with a heavier hand. But I'm going to show how you can very easily make more detail and make characters look more interesting. And as you can see, the reason you would do reference, you're going to end up tracing anyways. So when it comes to doing references and doing sketches, all you're really doing is making sure you can trace better details. And there's tons of little shapes. Like I can explain how to draw hands very well. The way you draw hands very well is you start with the knuckles, right? You can draw the knuckles of a hand as just this shape. Then you can get each finger, and you just remember that each finger is shorter than another finger. And then you have your thumb, right? And boom, you can draw more realistic hands that quick with a bunch of these J looking shapes that are upside down for real. Then eyes. Normally when you're drawing eyes, you can just do the exact same thing with the hands, except it's more curved. Then you can do the same thing with a nose, except it's smaller or it's wider. You want to see a really big nose? Big nose. Then we can do some little lips. Big nose, little lips. Get some exaggerated ears out here. We can put some horns. Then have some animal ears attached to them. Right now, all I'm using is a bunch of these shapes for real. Right, the face and the hands are majority made up of curves, no matter what you're doing in the face. And then when you're coming down to shoulders and all of that, there's still just curves. And then you come to the whatchamacallit? Collarbone, still just curves. Normally when you're drawing someone's chest and breast and stuff, you create the underarm area, right? And then you position the other arm over the underarm slightly. You see that? Slightly over it. And then you can come down and have boob if you want. You can have behind the boob, or you can just come down and make the torso. Alright, it's like if you just come down and make the torso, it looks a little strange, but you see how it feels like there might need to be something gapped there. You see that? That adds the extra layer of depth, but we're going to get rid of that. We're going to keep it really simple. recurving the torso down just a little bit so you can have the feeling of stomach there. And then we're gonna curve the other side, because this means that the hip is lower. So when we come back to the hip bone type stuff, this angle means the hip would be like this. So you would have your hips in this order, and that would mean that the vaginal area would end around here as well. And you can see where the hip and then the thigh would come out. And we're still just using curves for real. Still just using a bunch of curves. And then, you curve for the butt cheek, you curve the thigh in. Alright, then we can get rid of our reference in the background. And boom! It's a very realistic looking body. It didn't take very much time, very quick, easy. You can even do this with pencil. Let me get some better looking chest up here. Hold up. Get some symmetry in this. Alright, that looks a lot better. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Now we're gonna make the arms longer, making room for muscles. You see how I'm gonna try to change this so I don't have to erase, make it look like it's just muscle. You stop for the wrist area. People's hands usually go a little bit below, a little bit more below, but we're not trying to make this too realistic. So that's about where we're stopping it. It will be a little bit lower for a more realistic body shape. And we're going to try to keep this muscle looking stuff going. Just a bunch of curves for real. That arm's a little bit too long, but we can just drag and drop since this isn't in paper. And then when I'm doing clothing, usually I just trace the clothes right over on another layer. And we can just straight up fill it in. Okay, so now I'm gonna draw or fill in the body anyways. Okay, so now the next few things we're gonna do is hair. And this, I'm gonna make this just be thick, like one of those little border things that be on clothing. It looks nicer thick like that. Yeah, look at that. I'm gonna thicken that up a little bit. We're going to add shade, and then that's going to be the end of this drawing. The shade layer is very simple. If you want to do good shade, all you got to do is get dark black, right? Then you put down all of the transparency. Okay, so that's one layer, right? Then we come in and we erase where we want shade to be. Right? Because you're going to have to make the light. And you're erasing to make the light. But you're getting shade. So this is going to easily be her whole face is clear. Alright, so I erased some just to show how it looks. I'm not going to do the shading for this properly. But now you can just duplicate layers until it's where you want it to be. And you can just stack the layers. Oh dang, that was more than I was expecting. Hold on. So 1, we'll take it up a little bit. 2, take it up more. Alright, that's good. That's a little trick to doing layering of shadows. Just, and then boom. Pretty much that's how easy it is to add more and more detail to a character. And we're going to look at how it looks when we erase. It looks just like the normal layer before. So you can literally just do shade and make your character seem like there's a little bit more there. And then you can do things like do this, what I just explained, and then create a duplicate layer, close one layer, and erase everything else. There's tons of ways to really create just the shading for a character's body, or you can shade out a whole map, a whole city. You can pretty much do a lot of stuff with this basic technique, this basic breakdown of creating drawings. And as you can see, this character looks like they have loads of detail right now, but it's not too much extra detail. And imagine if you were planning to make it neater, if you're planning to add more detail, you could really go crazy with this. You could really take this short little technique of drawing with the curves and all of that and make something that just looks really good. This is a great way to add more and more detail, and as you go farther out, it looks like a better character. And I did all of this with my fingers. I didn't use any extra tools. I barely used any shortcuts to do this. Really simple way to make a character, and like and subscribe for more. This is the end of this little two video tutorial of how to draw some detailed characters.